You're listening to the At Your Request Show with Nick Collings. This is Up FM 1075.
Yes, welcome back. It is the At Your Request Show. My name is Nick Collings, and right now I have got a very special guest. The man, Paul Glazby, has forged his legacy into the Hard Dance Hall of Fame in the UK after 13 years as a DJ and owner of Vicious Circle Recordings. Paul has been responsible for some of the biggest dance floor moments in hard house history, including the tracks Kick It, Hostile, plus his remixes of Miss Shiva Dreams and Mark Gray's 99.9. Now, Paul decided in 2010 to hang up his headphones, but before doing so, he is set to rock Stereo Days in his last NZ set this coming Saturday night. Paul Glazby, are you there?
Hello, you alright?
How are you doing today, Paul?
Yeah, good, yeah.
Excellent. Now, it's a pleasure to have you here on Up FM. I guess the first question up on everyone's lips is, why have you decided to call it a day on the DJ front?
Well, there's a few reasons really, but the main reason is we last year we set up our first personal training centre in Sheffield, where we're based, and the sort of time that's taken up just meant that something had to give. So yeah, that was basically the decision. We knew we were going to be expanding, and as we get back from New Zealand in a couple of weeks' time, we open our second site as well, so the things are going to get even more hectic. So yeah, it just I was forced into, something had to sort of wind down, and I thought I'd had a good run with the DJing, so I may as well get out while things are still going well.
You've had a little bit of time to reflect since announcing your departure from DJing. What do you think you're going to miss most about it all?
The money. I'm still doing a few gigs at the minute, and I'll completely finish at the end of this year. When you do, there's been some big gigs, especially back in the UK, or even when I played Adelaide last week. You're looking out and you're seeing people in the crowd that you've seen, well, back in England maybe 100 times before, but like when I played in Adelaide, faces that you've seen for the last 10 years, and it's sort of hitting home now, where I'm thinking, God, this is the last time I am actually going to be stood behind these decks. Or there's certain clubs in the UK where when it happened just before Christmas, and there's a club that I played at loads of times, and just as I didn't think about it all through my set, and then just as I unplugged my headphones, I thought, that's the last time I'm going to do that here, and so that's the thing, just when you get them really good gigs where you've got the people like in your face, and you can see the effect that you're having on the crowd. It's just things like that you'll miss, but it's like I say, I'll always have the memories, and it's been a good run, so it's probably better that it's going to finish one day anyway, and I may as well finish on my terms when I've got these good memories, rather than it dragging on another 5 or 6 years and then possibly winding down to nothing, and then you think, well, I wish I'd got out sooner. So I think I'm doing the right thing.
Do you think you've managed to achieve everything that you set out to do?
I didn't set out to achieve anything, so yeah, definitely. I just when I started DJing, all I wanted to do would be able to get up at an after party and sort of do what my friends could do. So I think I've managed that.
Now, with your knowledge as a producer and also as a bit of a label executive, do you have plans to continue to produce music in whatever form that it might take?
Well, yeah, we are actually. It's something I've obviously with me running the gym. I've started doing music for fitness, different fitness classes, so spinning classes and things, because the licensing laws, I don't know if you're aware of it, but in Australia the licensing laws have just for the fitness industry have just took a real nasty turn. So licensed music now is really expensive to run classes. Because it's happened in Australia, it's definitely going to happen in New Zealand, and it will happen like throughout the rest of the world. So what I'm setting up is, or what I was set up is a license-free music company for the fitness industry. So that's another sort of, using like you said, the experience and knowledge that I've got from what we did with Vicious Circle and various other bits, is sort of evolving it into something that, for the sort of the new career. I think I will still be going in and doing a couple of tracks, because Vicious Circle's still still going. Ben Stevens, a friend of mine who I'm sure everyone's aware of, runs the day-to-day stuff with Vicious Circle. But yeah, the plan is to get into the studio again to do another hard house thing before the end of the year for Vicious Circle. In fact, I think we've got Vicious Circle 100 coming up soon, so I think I'm going to be collaborating with, I think the plan is me and Ben Stevens and Andy Farley doing a collaboration for that. So yeah, we'll get that sorted out. But yeah, I think I'll always be involved in music somehow.
Do you still have it in your blood as such?
Say again?
Is it still in your blood? Is it just something that you can't shake no matter how much?
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes you might want to.
I don't know where I sort of get it from. Because like my dad, I think if my dad never heard another record for the rest of his life, I don't think he'd care. He just. I think it must be from my mum's side. She was always into music, and then I got into. I'm sure it's not a surprise to anyone. I'm a big Metallica fan, and growing up, it was all sort of thrash metal, and then when I got into dance music, it was the harder end of dance music. So yeah, I mean, music is a big thing for me, and I don't think I'll ever be able to be too far away from it.
Now, you're no stranger at all to New Zealand, with numerous tours of this country over many different years. What is your fondest memory to date of our country, of little old NZ?
Well, one of the best memories that I'll ever have will be the wedding that I was at last weekend, which was like the best wedding I've ever been to. But that was up in Furno Lodge. But from a music point of view, probably one of the first time I ever came. Every time. I don't think I've ever had a bad gig in New Zealand. I mean, when people back in England talk about travelling over this side of the world, and everyone thinks that the places to play like Sydney and Melbourne, but for me it's always been Adelaide in Australia, and then Auckland and Christchurch and Wellington. I had a really good gig in Wellington a few years ago as well. And the places that you don't really seem to expect much of, but they always until you come over here, but they've always delivered. I mean, for years I said the two best places for me to play in the world were Adelaide and Auckland. Cape Town would be probably third. But yeah, it's the gig I did in Adelaide last week. They said it was the biggest hard dance gig they'd had in years. So I'm hoping that we can do the same at Auckland this week.
Is that partly because the hard house sound is still very, very prominent in both, pretty much right around New Zealand, and also in Adelaide as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would obviously, I'm sure if some house act or a techno act, they might have a different story. It might be that Sydney is the place for them, and not so much in Adelaide or Auckland, but yeah, it must be. I mean, a lot of the guys, when I'm playing if I do gigs in London, a lot of the guys that I'm playing with, they're not Londoners, they're from New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, so it must just be a sound that is popular with you guys, and obviously it works for me because that's what I play.
Now, speaking of the UK, how would you describe the UK hard dance scene at present over in London? Well, I mean, I don't play in London anymore now. The last gig I was supposed to do in London was New Year's Eve, and due to I don't know if you had the problem over here, but the iPhone alarm, the alarm clock on the iPhone, something went wrong with it on the New Year. It went past midnight, so I ended up missing that gig. First gig I've missed in, I think probably the first gig I've ever missed. But
Yeah, I mean, the scene in the UK in general it's condensed a lot, but then the gigs that I've been doing, you've got the Insomniacs, which is up in Sheffield where I live. They do a big science museum that they hire out. They get 3,500 people. Storm, which is another one of the gigs that I do, is 1,500 people, 1,000 people minimum. The gig that I was supposed to be at in London on New Year's Eve, I think they had 1,500 people, and so there's certainly a scene there. But the week in, week out, like going back to 2002, 2003, I used to play 4 or 5 times a week, and very rarely did you have a quiet gig. Them days have gone, but there is definitely a scene there, just by the quantity of people that we do get at these bigger gigs. It's just like I said, all the clubs that used to be weekly are now monthly. A lot of the clubs that used to be monthly have sort of disappeared, so you just not got as much of a choice, but the gigs that are there generally are pretty good.
And have you found that the kind of music in the UK the harder scene as well has kind of changed as well?
Well, I've had this conversation with a lot of people a lot of times. I mean, the last track that I made, middle of last year, is not really that much different to the first track that I made 11 years ago. It's 150 beats a minute. When you strip it down to its constituent parts, the tracks aren't that different. I always think if someone gets into hard dance, they get into it for a reason. They don't want to be educated and and shown what the next big thing is. Just give them what they want. That's what I always think. I mean, going back to Metallica, when they tried doing something different, it weren't that good. Just give the people what they want. Do what you're good at, and you don't mean that you've got to churn the same track out every time, but don't start trying to re-educate people, because that's not what they get into it for. They get into it because they like the sound, so give them the sound. That's and there are a lot of people trying different. I think partly that's the reason why the scene starts to fragment a little bit as well, because people then they don't know what they don't know what to expect. So I don't know. It's one of them things that you can't really put your finger on what's happening. But from my point of view, I mean, the next track that I make, I know roughly how it's going to go, because that's what I'm good at, and that's what people want when they buy a Glazby record, I think. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but.
No, I'm sure that's absolutely fine. How would you like people to remember the DJ and the music lover that is Paul Glazby?
Consistent. That'd be good enough for me. If people just said that they always got. If I delivered what they wanted, and they had a good night, and that I always had time to speak to them if they wanted to speak to me. That's another sort of big thing, because I think a lot of the times when I have spoken to people and they are sort of surprised, and you've got time to speak to them and hear stories of people that are not really as forthcoming, and you just think, I don't understand why that is, because we're only playing records, CDs now, but we're only playing I think it's a shame when people get up themselves a little bit just because they're a DJ. So hopefully people would remember me for having time to speak to them, sign anything they want signing, maybe give them a free CD if I've got some.
Just make their day, because they're paying, they're showing up and respecting what you do, so you return the favour.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I've got a set of rapid fire questions. You've mentioned you're a big Metallica fan. What's your favourite Metallica album?
What's my favourite?
Yep, favourite Metallica album.
And Justice for All.
Your most favourite Paul Glazby track or remix of all time?
Want Some.
And why?
I don't know. I just love it. It's just one of them tracks. Sometimes when you're in the studio, you do a track and you know when you finish and you listen, you get your CD master from your engineer, and you start listening to it in car on the way home, and you just know that it's going to be a big record. I had the same feeling with Kick It and obviously Hostile, when you were going to be quite big straight away. But yeah, it was just, and it's one of the tracks. It's not a really big like the Kick It's and the Hostiles, but the amount of people that come up and request that track, it's. I think it is one of my better ones, yeah.
Okay, fill in this question. I would not been able to have the level of success I have achieved without the help of
Paul Maddox and Ben Stevens.
A lot of the guys that you've Ben Stevens you deal with Vicious Circle wise, and Paul Maddox has done a lot of your engineering. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean every track I've done for the last probably seven years now I've done with Paul. He's like a real good friend of mine. He only lives 10 minutes away from where I live, so we are mates. We just happen to work together rather than it being the other way around. And Ben Stevens again, him and his wife were at my house with Kelly, my partner. They came and stayed a couple of weeks ago, and they are, it's just that's another sort of thing. All the memories from the gigs and the touring, and being able to see all these amazing countries, and being sort of paid for the privilege. But then the friends that you get as well, there's not just Andy Farley and Dom Sweet and the Defective Audio, you've known as, I think, but all these guys, and then all the people that you meet, the promoters that you sort of get friends with, you're travelling around. But yeah, from a sort of a professional point of view, Paul Maddox and Ben Stevens. I mean, Ben's just been Vicious Circle wouldn't be still running now if it weren't for Ben. So yeah, that would be the answer to that.
Okay, Cindy Crawford's done it, Carmen Electra has done it, even Richard Simmons has done it. Any chance of a Paul Glazby fitness video?
Well, it's funny you say. We've got it's a home workout. The music that we're doing for the fitness industry, what we're doing is we're selling that into personal trainers, gyms, boot camp instructors, things like that. But we're also doing a consumer product as well, so it's like a home workout thing. So we have actually already done it. I'm not actually in. I might be in a bit of it, but it's not just me. We've got Kelly, my partner, who's a fitness competitor in the UK. She's established herself really well in the figure category of the bodybuilding competitions. She's in it, and a couple of the guys, Cole and Emily, that work for us at our gym. But I think I'm sure I've got a cameo in it somewhere. So, but yeah, that'll be out soon. If anyone wants to see any more of that, I don't know if I'm allowed to advertise on it, am I?
Go for it. Prime Mover, right?
Prime Mover. There's my Facebook page, which is Paul Glazby Prime Mover, so people can hit me up on that, because my DJ one's full now, so no one else can join on that. But yeah, Paul Glazby Prime Mover, Prime Mover UK, I think, is the Facebook thing, and Global Bootcamp, global-bootcamp.com, if people want to check that out. But the home workout product that we're doing we think is going to be the best, and especially for anyone that's into dance music, because obviously the soundtrack that goes with it, you stick it on your iPod or you've got it on your laptop, and it's all sort of high energy dance music. So the guys that are listening to this interview, if they want to drop a few pounds, then that'll be the way to do it.
And finally, what can the people expect from the last ever New Zealand set from Paul Glazby this weekend?
Well, I mean, like we just said earlier on, hopefully consistency. If people, I think what people will expect, if anyone that's seen me before, then they'll know what to expect, and hopefully I'll be able to deliver that. Hopefully I won't disappoint. If Adelaide's gig was anything to go by, then I don't think, I won't disappoint you and you won't disappoint me.
Paul Glazby.
And anyone that's not seen me that's coming for the first time, just have a little chat with someone in the queue and they'll tell you what to expect.
Paul Glazby, an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and thanks for all that you've done for the hard dancing.
Oh no, thank you.
Not a problem, matey. And I hope that Saturday night goes very well for you.
Yep, cheers, mate.
Thanks, Paul.
Take care.
Take it easy. There you have it. That was Paul Glazby. Paul Glazby is playing at Stereo Days. It is on this Saturday night at 519. Featuring Paul Glazby from the UK and Jared Asher from Australia. Tickets are available right now. iticketexpress.co.nz and Real Groovy. For full details, check out the Up FM event page.